Hey, it's Shabes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go with the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this half of the month from the second half of April 2023. I'll be honest, I kind of borked it a little bit. I watched all the videos yesterday, and then I didn't record, so they're not very fresh in my mind. It's a shame. So hopefully it's not too shallow or anything like that, and but I still like the crop of videos and still want to talk about it. But yeah, just keeping that in mind. I did take a couple of notes. For some reason, I was like, well, I'll take a couple of stray notes or whatever in places. So thankfully that was the case for some videos. But yeah, I think I'll be fine. But just keeping that in mind. Starting with the Gil AMV Crash. He's using a lot of different sources, of course. I want to know how you did the part with Mushishi, with it's all kind of darkening the whole footage. I guess you could do like the Lumetri color, and then that affects the opacity layers. I guess that's how it works. I'm guessing. I'm not sure. I wonder if that works for light effects too. Oh gosh, I wonder how that works. I've never actually tried that. I don't know why I've never tried that sort of thing. But yeah, like the use of that was really impressive, because then it allows the darken effect, you know, the thing that like allows it actually encompasses the whole character. I've always liked that effect, but it always doesn't always quite work for the clips that I always want to use it for, and so I end up going with something else oftentimes. But because I've always really liked that like glitchy trapped in the body, or like projected onto the body type of thing that he has in this AMV and in his previous ones. But yeah, that effect is really cool. Using the JPEG and Danny Brown track, love that. Very current, inspiring. I was thinking of the Onimai video that I put out. I was considering making an AMV to Stop Scaring the Hose added on to that, but it was just another additional element, and it would have clashed with the tightness of that video, so I didn't end up going through with it, and lost interest after that. But yeah, liking to see a Scaring the Hose track to an AMV. It works great with your very multi-source and like very sporadic and unexpected kind of sourcing, I guess. Again, mixing the live action footage with anime is just really inspired, and something that I just don't have the confidence in trying. So it's just, I don't know, it just would be weird, I guess, to me doing it, but I always like seeing it from your perspective and your art. The little poetry thing you have, I don't know what source that's from, but it's very evocative. The whole thing's a very evocative type of thing, and you can take all sorts of messages from it. It's one of those like I don't know. I don't want to say one of those meaning, like, multiple meanings, or it doesn't have any meaning, or whatever. It's sort of just thought provoking in the way that just it like gets the juices, it gets the creative like inspiration and sort of thing. And that's what the best art does. You know, that's what art should be doing. I think is not just like killing time or on a basis or something like that. It's something that's like appreciative, and I don't know. You know what? One thing I don't know if you have a playlist of stuff. I just thought this as I was talking. It's like, it'd be swick to just like, is it this? Dirty Nevermore? Yeah. Okay. It's this. Yeah. It's just like, I would just like the playlist, and just having your stuff go on in an uninterrupted loop, or like in a shuffle playlist, and something that's like played. Not like to say it's background noise or background visuals or something, like not like that. I guess it's kind of like that. No, again, it's just something that like, it's something that I can really immerse. I feel like I can immerse myself for like an hour watching this stuff. But I think it's nice in the short bursts, in the like 2-minute, 4-minute bursts. But it is one of those things that just like, it's something I could just wash over me for a long period of time. I don't know, just get lost in it, that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know, just really like that sort of thing. And again, the interlude of kind of cutting in between the crash and with using Danny Brown JPEG's song with that middle track. It's like a different color. not physical color, but like tonal, if that makes sense. I guess, sure. But yeah, and then using the bleach stuff, even if it's very limited clips, I think he loops a couple or and things like that. I just don't have the again, I don't have the confidence for that sort of thing. I guess it's sort of just I'm always constantly like I already used that clip or whatever. Yeah, I just really enjoy that. Yeah, as much as I can talk about it, I love it. Yeah, it's great. Well, of course, when someone makes a video about me, I want to talk about it. Are you kidding? Like, I'm gonna put it on Digest. Maybe they knew that. One Lucario fan decided to take some time to give some appreciation for AniTube Digest, and it does feature Hayden. The initial draft that the Lucario fan sent me was just them, and it's just the like what it is and creating the whole like just getting an understanding of the show. And obviously I don't need to tell you guys this is, you've been watching it or whatever. But I just want to say that it's really nice having a affirmation like this, or just some appreciation, some thank you, or gratitude, and things like that. The comments in this series has been sparse lately, and again, I don't want to guilt trip anybody. I hate bringing it up because I always feel bad that I'm saying like I'm complaining. It's like Jeb Bush, like please clap, it's pathetic, and I don't want to act that way, but it's just I also want to be honest with my feelings and stuff, and yeah, but I also like adding Hayden into it was just a pleasant surprise, and because I don't know if it was the fact that like I don't want to speculate or anything, but I just sort of like if Lucario kind of showed it to Hayden as a way of what do you think of this, and Hayden's like, oh, can I add? I don't know what it was. You don't need to explain it. The creator in me ends up gears turning. I'm like, oh, the process. I wonder how this came out because I've seen this initial part and then Hayden's feature in it, and Hayden was very, very kind, and something that like it's hard for me to I was gonna say appreciate. The word that I'm coming to is appreciate, because sometimes I really feel like I bork it. The past few digests, I'll be transparent with you guys, I just don't think I've been doing that good of a job as much as I feel like I did in the past. I don't know. It's been a little more interpersonal and vloggy lately, or just video diary and not talking about the video itself, I guess, or the craft, or not making that many observations. And I guess I've had that self-consciousness for a while. But it's been especially difficult in these past couple of ones, especially now that I'm not doing it weekly. It's dulled, of course, when you're not doing it as often as I was doing it, now you're not as good at it. Of course. Fuck. The trade-off, right? Then the quality suffers, and I hate that. I don't want the quality to suffer. So I'm just realizing that right now as I was just talking through that, and I was like, oh shit, that's probably why. That's probably why I've been feeling this and everything. Anyway, but like, yeah, I guess I was going to use this as an excuse to just talk about it, but like I always do that. It's going to be weaved in through it regardless, but whatever. No, but what Hayden was saying with like really appreciating that feedback and like challenging themselves to do better, or and getting that verbal in person like confirmation, I guess, of videos is something I've known is a thing. And I guess to me, again, I guess I've just repeated myself, but just like, yeah, I've just been worried of like not doing a good enough job on that, I guess. But yeah, I guess with this video, if I could try to do a little, I'll be honest. I think I would love more of Lucario's personal what it's affected them and enjoying what they like about it, more so than explaining what it is, And then I'm just saying this as a constructive of like video making. To me, it's like if the year matters of when I made it, or not like with Digest or with anything. If you're talking about an anime, if you're talking about anything, I think bringing up the background is important if the background matters for something else. Like if you say like it was made by Studio Gainax, and the reason it's important that I tell you that it was made by Studio Gainax and they made these other things is because that stuff is prevalent in the work that I'm going to talk about. But if you just kind of talk about the show, but you bring up that it was made by Gainax, but then don't do anything with that. For example, in this case with Digest, you could have been mentioned like you mentioned that my channel was made in 2015. My first video was in 2016. I had made the channel, but then like I was very like, yeah, and never. It's hard. I'm sure I don't know if you remember this. I'm sure other creators might remember this. Just making your first video is a real barrier. I mean, maybe for some people it wasn't, but but for me, like I really wanted to make the kind of video content I was seeing on YouTube, which is these essays and stuff that people had been crafting for years at that point. And so I'm like, okay, I have to meet them at that level. And so I'd never made something like that before. So that barrier was not that my first video took me from the creation of my channel in 2015 to the first one in October 2016. It was just that I had made the channel with the intention of making those videos. I remember it was like January 2015 that I was like, I want to make YouTube videos. And then I never made them until some psychological thing happened. Sorry. Some whatever happened. Long story. But yeah, I don't know. Just when you bring something up in a video, and this is something I'm trying to work out with my thing too. The video I'm working on now has a lot of information, a lot of detail and stuff, and a lot of sporadic, but like what's important, what is relevant to what I'm going to be talking about that the viewer needs to know. And not to make it tight or anything. This is already 3 minutes. It's very short, and again, I really appreciate it. It's always the sentiment. It's mostly the sentiment here that I'm just like really grateful for. And I don't really want to be like nitpicking the video or something like that. I just like, I wanted to give something. I wanted to give something of like constructive to this video, not just that, oh, thanks and bye. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because again, I've always felt like I've been doing that with other videos, and I'm probably going to do that with some videos in this very digest. And so, so I'm trying to overcome that, I guess. It's a challenge for me. But I'm just like, in terms of what I'm thinking of putting in. But, what was really cute was just the style, the format, just like the visual thing. There's really not much happening on screen. It's just the avatar in the corner and then occasionally Hayden's thing. And I think it's in the same style. I don't know if you drew both of them. They're really cute, really good style. And I don't know, it's just like and it's your tandem with your cadence and like the way you talk. Both Hayden and Lucario, I think that it just worked with this video, that it just like was just really, but maybe it's just because you're talking about me and I'm very egotistical. I don't know. Sorry. But no, I really like it. Yeah, but of course I like it. No shit. But I really appreciate it. Really, really thankful for it. But yeah, I don't know, just the thinking about that sort of thing with like what bringing something up and fussing with all the background details. Don't feel I don't know if that's like a thing that's important to you, or is it something that you feel like the video needs because every other video kind of does it, or this is just the thing that happens. But you think about AVGN or something, right? How often does he really talk about like what year it came out and the people that made it and the technical details? He kind of just jumps right into it, right? And that's that's from like 2004 and everything, that's just like him or whatever. But I guess there's examples that you can. I'm not saying this is unnecessary or something. I didn't want to come off like that. I keep repeating myself. Sorry. I liked the video a lot. Thanks. Thank you very much. Oh my god, replay value's back. Holy shit. After a year. And he said at the end of this video, see you next week. It's been 13 days. I'm like, I better fucking see you. Also, I also just thought of this. Really appreciate the Jack feature, the endoscope feature, and then they just spoil it. He's like, let's get # bring Jack back trend, or whatever. That was funny. Yeah, no, not gonna, it'll never happen kind of way. But we're like, hell yeah, I want that to happen. Like, bring him back. Let's go. And like, I don't know what's up with honestly. I think I know what's up with him. He has a real job. It's just a big boy job. Like, I get it. Yeah, okay. Another thing, other passions and stuff like that. Sure, for sure. Anyway, I do miss Jack as well. But I've missed you as well. You haven't posted in a long time. I think I talked about your last video. It was a year ago. Or maybe even more. It was just what YouTube says, like 1 year ago, but it could be a little more than that. But yeah, Replay Value put out does Oshinoko's premiere surpass its manga? And you know, it was your comeback. It was your video that you came back after a year. I didn't want to not talk about it, but I was kind of avoiding Oshinoko spoilers. But like, I don't know why I was at this point, because I wasn't really intending on watching it. I don't know. And not that it was because it's a seasonal that I'm not like gung ho of like, I gotta watch this type of. It wasn't as something that I'm personally. I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch seasonal anime that I just hear there's a ton of buzz about. I want to have the like. It's just a weird thing with me personally. It's just a weird thing. I've never picked up a seasonal until I either pick up a seasonal right as it aired, and I had decided that I'm going with that seasonal, ride or die, before it aired, or I watch it years later. Or I never watch it until way after the fact. It's just a weird thing with me. It's not like a rule, but I literally am just talking out loud. I'm just like, I think that's why I do that. It's just a pattern with me. So I didn't intend on watching Oshinoko, even though, yeah, I am really curious about the whole thing and everything. I really like that it's a 90-minute premiere. I also had no idea it was Dokukobo. Who was it that was talking about it being Dokukobo? That was like, Weeb Club. I was listening to Weeb Club. And yeah, they mentioned it was Dokukobo. I was like, how did I not know that? Oh my God. But like, I also wouldn't have expected it from them. It's cool. It's exciting. Also, congrats for High Dive. They really needed that W. They really needed that W. Good for them. But yeah, anyway, that's all Oshinoko. But so that all being said, that like I knew there was something fucky. I was like, I'll bleep it out. I was just thinking, I was like, oh no, I said that. But like, I can edit the fucking video. I'm an idiot. It's not stream. I've been streaming way more, guys. I don't know if you've noticed because you're subscribed to this channel. But that's kind of the thing I've been doing more often, twice a week, literally. Anyway, but yeah, so that all being said, I went into this. It was like, okay, I was spoiled for it, sure. And it was what I was expecting the spoilers to be. I was kind of into, and I don't know if I was exactly spoiled to it, but I was like, I got the vibe, and I'm like, oh, okay. But that's fine. I'm fine with taking the L for this one. I always really like your perspective and your thoughtful analysis. Although I don't know quite how much. There was the one moment, like the one panel and page that you compare of like, I think I prefer this with the manga. But for the most, like a lot of it, I think you were talking about anime original content. At least that's what I can pick up, that it was anime original content, because there wasn't much of a comparison happening. There wasn't too much manga being shown. And that's fine. Like, but again, it's the title, so it's sort of like I was expecting more of a direct comparison, but that's okay. I'm okay with that, because it's like, I think your anime shot by shot, thoughtful observations and analysis type of thing is really interesting, and it's something I come to you for, and it's your wheelhouse of sorts. But yeah, one comment I did write down in my notes that bothered me, and I was like, wait a minute. It was a very stray comment where it was like, you're saying this still is a huge miss, and you don't really elaborate on that. And you're talking, the viewer here, myself, I'm not allergic to stills. In fact, quite the opposite. I think that is a perfectly valid method of storytelling. It doesn't need to be animated. I know that's not really what you're saying, I guess. Maybe it was the composition of it, or is the timing. There is a timing aspect to this with shot to shot, right? It could be a part of like in sync with the music or something that is like it interrupts the flow in some way. But when you say it's a huge miss and then don't elaborate on that, it was like, what's wrong with that? You know, I don't know. And that's me a little clutchy when it comes to limited animation. Obviously I'm a big Dazaki fan. And not to say Dazaki was allergic to animation. Quite the opposite, actually. I mean, his right-hand man, Akio Sugino, is one of the greatest animation directors of all time. No cap! No cap! And character designers. You know, he's just kind of the GOAT. Yeah. So, like, you know, he's not allergic to, but, like, he's known mostly for his limited animation direction techniques, I guess. And not to say that this still was like a postcard memory or something like that, or something super artsy. It did look kind of awkward when you showed it in the context of the video when you showed it. But I don't know where it is in the full context of the scene, what the music and sound design is like at that moment. What makes it awkward? What makes it a huge miss? And it's a stray comment. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention and you do elaborate on that and I'm a fucking idiot. Maybe that's the case. That's probably the case. No. But yeah, I really liked the video. Besides that, other than that, yeah, it was very good. And then I'm just happy to see you back. It's probably just one of those, like, it came to you at like sudden inspiration. Oh, also the comment you made at one point where you were worried about this being a botched adaptation, on the lines of, what were your two comparisons? It was one comparison, I think. It was Biscuit Hammer. Yeah. Sorry about that. Can't win them all, unfortunately. And the thing is, right? You can kind of get it. I think you can make an educated guess if this is not going to be. But also, you kind of jumping the gun, aren't you? Careful. First of all, there's only like 2 or 3 episodes out now, including the 90-minute ones, with technically like 5 episodes or whatever. So it's like, but technically 3. I think 3 by now. But yeah, like, I mean, it's not done. Gotta have to see, right? But you can tell it's in good hands, for sure. It's that, like, how to tell a great anime episode in one episode type of deal. It's these guys know what they're doing, and it's like, okay, I think they know what they're doing. They get it. They get the source material in a way. But then, yeah, it's like, I think you could have looked at Dokukobo and be like, yeah, they probably got it. And even just look at the PVs and stuff like that. You can tell there's a difference between a pre-animated AMV, a pre-animated MV, not even MV, fucking PV. I'm an idiot. I'm a fucking idiot. Preview versus something that's like, here's a teaser of this, what you're actually going to see in the show, And I think the things you see in the show is usually a very good indication of how good it's going to be or not good it's going to be. Sometimes you can tell from some of these PVs that's like, oh yeah, they're not feeling this one. They don't have the best guys on this one. This is not like one of those anticipated ones. You can also look at the staff, right? Always look at always look dig a little deeper. But it's like, we could tell Biscuit wasn't gonna work. It wasn't gonna happen. I'm sorry. Once that PV came out, right, and once we knew more about the studio, the staff, and stuff. But I guess you can just wait and see. But you also do have to wait and see for the whole thing, because I think somebody in the comments may have brought up Promised Neverland 2. No one really expected that to be a bad adaptation until it, like, 4 episodes in, when I guess it was like, oh, they're going to skip this arc or something. And then even more so episode 12, where it was like, oh, So you don't know. Just gotta. That's why I'm always just like, I'm always trepidatious about. I don't know if that's the right word. Trepidatious about making videos about something that hasn't finished airing yet, just in case. But nah, I mean, this is just analyzing its premiere, so you're safe. You're fine. Yeah. I enjoyed the video a lot. Doreimani. I'll just say it. 4Kids music was great. Yeah. And it was freaking bizarre because she does focus on Doremi, Mew Power, and Winx specifically. She makes a very good point, like a very salient point, I think, that 4Kids was actually fucking trying to like pursue magical girls in the US, in the West. They actually tried. You think of the other companies that were operating at the time, you know, that they weren't good sells historically. Like I would hear from my boss how like ADV, I believe it was, tried Princess Tutu and it fucking bombed. If Tutu's not going to work, you fucking good luck with the rest of it. You know what I mean? Not to disparage the rest of the medium, to put Tutu on a pedestal or anything. It's just sort of like, oh, if that's not going to work, it's a good sign. It's a very representative work, I think personally. Maybe you disagree, but it's scary. And even now with Saint Tail, Discotech's really pushing it of just like, hey, if you really like magical girl stuff, like you need to support this. To show our buyer, the guy who licenses everything, who is very practical. I've met him in person. He's very pragmatic, extremely, does not have any personal attachment to any of this. Maybe I don't want to speak entirely for him, but he does come across as someone who's like, I am running a business. And I don't care if it's your favorite show. I need to make money. And it's like, not in a cynical way, in a way that's like, you know, it's supported. And like, of course, he's appreciating the fan. Again, I don't want to speak for him or anything, but he's a very pragmatic guy. So it really is like, if the numbers show it, then they'll do more. Then okay. You know what I mean? But so like, yeah, anyway, but I think Doreimani really makes a good point about 4Kids and giving them that credit on top of all the music stuff. Like, they actually made some bangers while still cringing at some of the other things that aren't as good. And her reactions are so funny and or just like so relatable in a way that just like, it's just so personable. I just really loved watching this video and her kind of diving and navigating through this stuff. And yeah, it's just great seeing this perspective and this appreciation for this stuff. And it made me realize, I was like, yeah, I actually have been a Magical Girl fan for much longer than I was expecting. Because I remember I was rewatching a segment I did on Moralities talking about Magical Girls being so gay, and I made the claim that I'm like, I'm not a huge Magical Girl fan because I've only seen 4 or 5 or whatever. But then watching this video, I was like, I know all these songs. I remember all of these. They're a little hidden unlocked, like I don't remember them. But then when I listened to them, I was like, oh my god, I do remember that. And so I was like, I did watch a lot of Winx. I don't know why. It's just, maybe I know why. It wasn't at the time. I don't know. But then also I watched quite a bit of Mew Power. Not as much Doremi, but I do remember watching Ojamadra Doremi. Although, like, by the time I got to watching it subbed in 2018 as an adult, it was a very fresh experience. Beyond one episode, I do remember the first season when they're the other witch takes over the store for a little while, and they have this kind of climactic battle in a garbage dump or whatever. And they have a little magic battle. I remember that episode actually when I was a kid. But then everything else I don't remember at all. I didn't remember Ampu or anything like that. Maybe because they don't really get that far. They didn't air that much. It was very sporadic viewing, I guess. But yeah, like Mani going through all of this footage and archival stuff, and just the necessary information of like, yeah, they didn't put out any singles or EPs or any physical, releases, and nothing official. It's all just whatever was broadcast is just kind of a extra fun thing. And just having a very honest appreciation for all the music that was involved in it, and not having, and she really puts all the stuff of like the censorship and the dumb decisions and whatever and localization aside. And I think that's important to do now. I think that's the right attitude to have now, because we have access to this stuff now. It's not legal. It's not like, back when we were a kid, we didn't have access to, sure. But like now it's like, you know, if you really want to watch it authentically, you know, whatever, however method you want to, you can. There's nothing stopping you. So it's not, and 4Kids is dead. It's dead. It's not like any don't watch this so we don't support it or whatever because they keep making them or something. No, they're gone. They're gone. So I think it's like important to look back on them in a way that's constructive and like, you know, not erase, you know, erasing the questionable stuff they did, I guess, but just I don't know, I just want a different approach to it. But you know, that's more teasing of that, like I do want to make a 4Kids video at some point, or just talking and thinking, you know, ruminating on it a little deeper. But yeah, I love this video. Oh my god, it was so much fun. It was just really funny, and yeah, great video. Okay, so this was uploaded by Frosty Fusions, but I you know, I'm not really, I don't expect that he made it necessarily, but that's okay. I'm very grateful that he somehow has it or got access to it and uploaded it. And I'm surprised. Oh, okay. Wait a minute. English subbed, is it because it's for some reason it's not showing up on his main channel when I click on the channel. So maybe this is, wait a minute, is this unlisted? Oh my god, copyright claim. Fuck. So this is actually in the playlist, but it's not viewable. So I'm going to talk about this anyway, because I mean, videos disappear on Digest as well. Like, you know, after I've talked about them and everything, this happens. So this is a moment in time, but I guess I'll talk about it. I don't know if this will you know what? That's why, because it just 8 days ago he posted it raw. So I'll probably download that actually as soon as I get off of here. But let me talk about this guy, about this video. This is an interview with Kintaro Miura. This is like him on camera talking for 10 minutes. We rarely see him. We've seen him in some pictures, and this is the first time I heard his voice. And he's so sweet. He's so nice. I'm not making this I'm not trying to do this on purpose or whatever. God damn it. This is really hard. It's still hard. It happened 3 years ago, or 2 years ago at this point. I know the latest chapter came out, I think this week or the past week. And that was hard. Like, fuck. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you'll be able to find this, or I'm very certain going to download it. I'll probably put the raw version on the playlist, but this will probably get taken down too. Hopefully it can be, you know, pop back up a couple of times. I don't know. It's just, or upload it officially at the very least, please. Because this is an interview that he did for the Berserk exhibition. You know, and he just talks about his influences, recommends to go and check out 70s and 80s manga like Nausicaa, and he mentions Nausicaa because there was a period of time where he was drawing Berserk in pencil, and that was because, like, as a transition to digital, basically. Yeah, and talking about the last stage, he's like, yeah, we're in like the last fourth, and it's been about the party for now, but it's going to kind of shift perspective a little bit. You know, talking about the future and the Skull Knight's past and everything. But yeah, it was just really, it's just so weird that, like, you know, I had such a, you know, I think everybody who's read Berserk and everything has this like really deep reverence for this author. But then we'd seen like one picture of him, never heard him. His interviews and stuff are really valuable, but yeah, this was just really meaningful. Yeah, but I know it's probably gonna be, you know, hard to find and everything. I'm sorry, I'm just talking about Digest, and then you can't really watch it or find it or whatever. I will tell you also, I made this point on Twitter. But like the sub of this, and obviously it's down now, so I don't really know if it matters. But I just wanted to make a point that like the subbing was not great. The timing was really annoying, and the placement of certain words and the way it's formatted is just hard to read sometimes. You have to like pause a lot, and like, you know, it's not ergonomic. But it kind of doesn't matter at this point. It's just great to hear him and see him. I don't know. It's just a weird. It's a very parasocial thing, I think. But yeah, it's different, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, that's a thing that came out this week. That's this half of the month. Kyle Entertainment's also made a comeback with the most important, cutest Naruto girl you forgot about, and a little cheeky meta commentary, fourth wall breaking of like, you thought it'd be like this, but no, and kind of thinking a couple of steps ahead of the audience, because he's very very studied, very like YouTube pilled, I guess. Whereas like, you know, I've seen a lot of this, you know, and there's a lot of at this point it's a, you know, the whole medium and everything, and I've always really appreciated his perspective and his commentary. Not gonna lie, I've missed his reviews and impressions of other videos and stuff, but it kind of the offshoot of Digest. But I understand he's, you know, other interests and stuff. I'm certainly weaning interest on Digest itself, but you know, is what it is. No, I don't want to get guilty. I don't know. I've always been really excited, but I like his analysis too, of course, because he really spins this into talking about Shikamaru's character and even just Naruto writ large. Because I think it's a really great observation that basically this character gives you a window into and kind of leads you into this other thing where what Naruto goes through in the pain arc is what Shikamaru is the one that goes ahead of him, that kind of experiences stuff before Naruto does, just, you know, out of just as the way it happens. So he gets to have this grieving period and go through this tough moment in the previous arc, and then I think it was hard to see because you have the Sasuke Itachi thing as well. But that, you know, even that can have kind of a rhyming effect almost with what Shikamaru goes through, which is interesting. It's different, but it's kind of a similar thing. But then, yeah, like Shikamaru like really guiding Naruto through this period, I guess, which made me appreciate that moment a lot more, I think, because I was certainly one of those viewers that wasn't so keen on Naruto being in this mental state. It just wasn't the most exciting or enticing thing. But I really appreciate, and I think it is something else that I see people talking about. Like I saw like it was some tweet or whatever of just like I stopped Naruto a long time ago. I never bothered to finish it or whatever. And I think even Joey said it was like that he never got to the end. Right? But like, granted, he didn't even get to the first fight or whatever. Maybe he did. I don't know. But like a lot of people I think are like that, who have kind of ran aground on Naruto. And they've probably run aground on One Piece too, for some people, or just taking a break or something. Okay, a break. Okay, you know, I think that nothing wrong with breaks. I had a break and I loved it. I'm not trying to say it. No, but it's easy, especially it's very natural when that happens with something this long running and everything. I'm sure that happens for Berserk and et cetera, et cetera. Oh yeah, so like these down periods, especially with Naruto acting the way he does. And it's similar. That probably has to do more of stuff past pain with like Fourth Ninja War, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's, you know, taking the whole story into perspective and like where it goes, I think is a really important point. And so I'm able to appreciate that in hindsight and in retrospect, which is, you know, is a factor, but it's certainly, you know, it's something you do have to consider with the first time you watch something or experience something is arguably the most important. It doesn't have to be, but it's certainly a very strong impression, right? And sometimes it lands for you, it hits in the right way, and other times it does not, unfortunately. There's a certain show I'm watching right now. I won't say what it is. I said what it is on Twitter if you remember it, but I'm not like, it's okay if you don't. Or you may dig it or whatever, but I currently have it unrated. I'm pretty deep into the show and I don't know how I feel about it. I just don't know. I really it's between two ratings, and it's not the extreme ones, but I don't feel very strongly about it. But yeah, all right. But that's my first viewing, and that colors it pretty significantly. But hopefully, maybe on subsequent viewings or by the end, I don't know. And I'm sorry because this is about me and not necessarily about Kyle's craft here. Again, I think it's like a really chill, sweet rumination type of thing. Exploring this section of Naruto, which I think is like the cool. I think it's a fun, not impressive. I don't want to say not like that. I'm sorry. Impressionable, or I don't know what I was trying to say, but not impressive. I wasn't trying to say that, and not in a negative way. I'm not saying this isn't. I'm so bad. No, it's I don't know. It's a cool idea to just like, it's okay if you don't. It doesn't have to be a Naruto review. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It's okay if it's just like this one character and extrapolating to this wider thing. And he's not really going that deep into her character because he's very transparent. It's like there isn't that much to her. She doesn't even figure out the thing, and then that's her whole character, and then she doesn't show up again or whatever. I didn't, and then I also like the lampshading mode. It's like, I know, don't say in the comments that you do remember. It's not my point. It's just the title, all right? Yeah, whatever. Yeah, very, very self-aware moment kind of thing. Yeah, I appreciated it. Yeah, it's always great to hear from Kyle. Looking forward to if he has something next. Yeah, better a pig than a fascist. From Accented Cinema, I don't think I've talked about his channel in a while, but he's doing really well. He's talking a little more broader than anime, but this video is doing pretty darn well, if all things considered. It's a Porco Rosso video, and I liked that he really focused on the political stuff, because it's just, I don't know if that, I haven't seen that many Porco Rosso videos. I know Steven's and stuff, but I don't remember if Steven really focused that significantly, or maybe he did. But there was more to his video, to his video on Porco, than just the political stuff. But I think this acute focus from Accented Cinema is great, just because it doesn't feel that bogged down by actual history. It does focus have a square focus on the movie, and I like that is actually kind of explaining the Rosso to Porco Rosso, because people get the Porco. But Rosso is the Communist Party. He's a populist, and he's explaining how Porco himself is a populist, and that goes against fascism. His characterization, literally, is opposed to fascism. Better to be a pig than a fascist, in a way that, and he's embodying this different ideology. I don't want to pretend that I am an expert on. I don't want to say anything that sounds dumb. I really don't. And not like I'm apolitical. It's just I don't like to claim that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that sort of thing, even though I consume a lot of the kind of political stuff, I guess, but I don't try to it's not a passion in that regard. It's more of a hobby, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense, or that's a thing, but I don't know. That's just how I feel about it, I guess. But yeah, I just really like this focus on the movie itself, and really analyzing and not just kind of taking that one phrase as a meme and just going with it. It's just like, yeah, that's it, or whatever. Really like analyzing the movie from that and extrapolating through the whole thing, was just really smart and just thoughtful. And yeah, I'm not the biggest Porco fan, and I like the movie, but it's something that, like, yeah, I don't know. It just really works for me. I really enjoyed it. Yeah. BobSamurai with another banger. It's his last 1969 video. Man. And then the Ultimate Guide's coming. He's working on it. Oh my gosh. Can't imagine what that's like or what that's going to be. But for now, we have Tiger Mask the original. And unlike his other franchise videos, he pretty much made a economic decision. He's like, I get what the remake from the 80s is. I think I get what it is, and I think I know what it's doing. And I get the gist of W, the 2018 show. But he doesn't cover them fully. He drops them, and I think that's fair. I think that's fine. I was surprised that he didn't show too much of the manga. He reads the manga. He read it because I was able to get it for him. but he doesn't necessarily have a huge comparison of the two. He mentions it a lot in terms of what it does and its relationship to the anime. But he does squarely focus on the anime. And I think it was interesting to a comment he made where he gave it his rating of like a 7.5. And then he's like, well, you know, the thought-provokingness doesn't necessarily evoke the rating. You know, the rating being a 7.5, you'd be like, oh, okay. That's in terms of the strong feelings about it. But it gave him a lot to think about. You know, I think I don't know, explain his ratings or something like that. But, you know, he gives his pros and cons, basically. So I think I love that he's able to articulate in such a clear fashion, while also just what's so nice with Bob is that like he's not cracking jokes in the conventional way. He's not really out there to make you laugh, but what he does is like it's just cute things with like the outfit with the tiger hoodie type, like the little hat is just like so funny, but he doesn't address it at all, and he has the same like plain straight shooter kind of cadence that he has. It's just so playful. While also talking about the stuff very like, you know, engaging with it and showing you specific scenes and addressing it, like I like this episode when this happens, and or like this part with this, and giving a lot of clips and again exposure to this show so you get a better idea of what it is. He also was able to explain the look of the show using with Toei's Xerox thing, and that's just kind of how it ended up looking. And so he does that sort of bare, you know, research, but it's not like a dump. It's not like a full blown, you get the whole gist of it. He doesn't really bother too much with names, I notice, with like director or he does this the studio, but like director or the mangaka or something like that. It really is just engaging with the story itself and the material. Yeah, I don't know, it's it just you really get it. I think you just get the full picture. And he really is top of the game at the moment, and he's pretty much the only one. I'm not gonna like I think he's the only one making actual reviews. Not to put down other people who are making reviews occasionally, but in this reliability, the consistency, the utility of these, like the way he's making them, in the way that it's not categorized by story, characters, arts, music, you know, enjoyment, whatever. It really is a holistic picture, and just giving you information about it, and then letting you so you can form your own judgment and opinions about it. But it's just getting you to understand these titles that you've only seen the title and the cover for, and you think you get it. You know, he's like, oh, I know that show. Oh, I know what's going on with that. What the heck is this? I know what's going on. I know that I don't have to watch it. I watch it. And I also just like that Bob is not necessarily making a video of like, I watched it so you don't have to. He's not making that kind of video. Thankfully, God. You know, like he doesn't spoil. They're all spoiler free. All the reviews have been spoiler free, and he's very good at that. He's very good at that. And but still addressing the ending, still talking about it as in a way that like he has seen the whole thing. That's the thing that's just like, it boggles my mind with some of these fucking older reviews. A lot of the time they don't watch the whole fucking show. It bothers me. It just really annoys me. And look, I'm not gonna lie. Spoilers for I'm not gonna say what it is that the show is. But I am talking about something that I have not finished. I am literally, the thing that I appreciate in this video is something I am not doing in my video. And it's only because I don't have the fucking time. It's only because it's like another 50 episodes, and I've gone through all of them. I've literally, I know the gist of all of them, but I've not physically watched them. And the other reason, maybe I'll address this in the video itself, but it's because of the way it's constructed, the way it was made, that I want to at some point. I do want to at some point for some episodes. But there's others where I don't want to sit through them and have the positive reception I have of that show to be soiled by these other episodes because of how much of a slog it was. To be fair, though, I don't think that happened with Naruto, because I watched all the filler of Naruto and Shippuden, and I didn't enjoy the vast majority of it, but I still gave Shippuden a great, and I gave Naruto a good. But you see, the difference there is that the filler is something I understand is supplementary material. But this show, I'm sorry I'm being vague. I'm trying to be vague. This show is episodic. So and there's no continuity. There's almost no continuity. But actually, the problem that I have with it is that it gets continuity later on, and that's the issue. It's like it ruins the appeal of the show. Anyway, I have to be clear about that. Maybe I'll put that in the actual video, that like can be clear that like I don't even want to watch the rest of it. I don't. I'm just gonna put it on hold the whole time, and maybe I'll get to it at some point or whatever. But nah, I'm good. You know. Sorry, I'm just drinking on camera. I don't know, but like I love Bob. I love what he's doing. God, I just this happens every time I talk about Digest, and then me saying that this happens at every Digest also happens at every Digest. So I'm sorry if this is so cliche at this point, but honestly, I really want you to understand that he is one of the top of the game now. He's still at it, and I'm so excited. I know he's excited about getting to the 70s. I'm excited for him to get to the 70s. Oh man. It's really cool. Looking forward to it. But yeah, love the review, of course. Another video from Chang, this time for anime compositing in After Effects. Now, he doesn't really go too far into explaining what compositing is, because there is sometimes confusion of what it is. And yeah, he's doing so well now, with just how like the success of his videos and stuff, and his growth. It's just so encouraging to see, because I remember he was very tiny, and I don't know. But he's leaned into way more practical how-to type of things, and because obviously his audience really wants that, and is looking for that, I think, which is really cool. This one, especially for the After Effects one, it really felt like a how-to thing, like a tutorial of sorts. And that was probably the case with his other ones too. But it definitely felt more tutorial-y for me. And I guess for me, I get diminishing returns from that personally if I'm not going to be doing it myself. Because there's a big barrier, not big barrier, I guess, but it's just like he's assuming you already have the Doga or Genga. Sorry, you already have the animation, and so it's sort of like there's a baseline of knowledge you kind of already have. And then there's just the more thing. But I think though I would imagine what a lot of people are interested in is the process of seeing it happen. Because like this is how anime does it, anime compositing in After Effects. So it's like, yeah, this is what we do in the industry basically. And it makes it accessible. It makes it something, oh, you can do that too. Although now that I say that in my head out loud, now that I say that, it does remind me of the kind of dangerous practice happening. I guess dangerous is maybe a strong word for it, but just the fact that independent animators are now being recruited over Twitter, and production assistants are asking them to become animation directors. From certain circles that I'm in, and I'm not going to name names or productions or anything like that, but what I've been in conversations about, it's dire. It's bleak what's going on in the industry right now. And thankfully, for the most part, it's not been translating into the final result. It's not been affecting these major productions. I do think that's going to happen someday. I do think that's going to happen sooner rather than later. And that just made the Dong Chang thing made me realize that like he's showing some people that like who are going to go so far as they might actually just join the industry outright. maybe I'm hyperbolizing that, or I don't know, maybe I'm being reactionary. But it makes me think that it was just like, yeah, this is how he's making it accessible, which is great, but he's making it accessible, which is like, ooh, and that's not to gatekeep the anime industry. I think that's, that's what you want to pursue and everything, but you just have to realize that it's an exploitative and low paying, not a great industry to be in right now. Kind of, and I'm making broad generalized statements, of course. I don't want to claim as being some kind of expert or whatever. I want to say that I'm experienced in making YouTube videos, and that's why my authority can come in, or not, like, whatever authority I have, or whatever platform I have, whatever tiny that is, but just for my background and my personal experience, right? But this is just the conversation that I've been having, where it's like, but he's not necessarily endorsing that in the video itself or anything. I think it's for casual fans. I think this is really interesting and exciting. But it just made me think of that just now, where I'm like, oh, I don't know. I have a lot of the nose part. Anyway, yeah. To me, it hasn't been that engaging lately, just because of the more tutorially and it isn't so much of explaining certain things as much as it is just physically doing it, and maybe there's the explanation through doing it, and that's fair. But yeah, it doesn't it's not as much for me, but that's okay. Inakyu talking about her next video, saying goodbye to Ash and Pikachu. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is good shit. And it is sort of an extension on her last video, where it got a lot more personal, and I love the YouTube collaboration. Seeing Internet Pit Stop in this video was very fun and exciting. Jack's boy, and this other YouTuber that he's big. I recognize him, and he's I've seen some of his videos, but I don't think he's really talked about Pokemon or anime too much. But that's okay. No. We're all YouTubers, we're all peers and stuff in that way, we're all posting on the same platform. But that was really cool to see too. Yeah, and again, talking and really explaining the meaning behind the hat, and a personal meaning, and not just like describing it or like analyzing it in that kind of robotic way. Really demonstrating that this stuff matters. This stuff does matter. This did have an emotional impact. This was the first Kitsy, whatever Pokemon. It's Pokemon, right? I'm reading I don't know if you're familiar, inakyu. You're probably watching it. But I've been reading the Anime Encyclopedia, and we read the Pokemon article, and this entire time reading the book, the encyclopedia, they've kept calling certain shows Pokemon clones. Like Digimon is a Pokemon clone. Monster Rancher, Pokemon, and yeah, look, there's some credence to the idea that some of these shows were made on the success and the predication of like, okay, Pokemon is successful. How can we replicate that, or how can we have a similar line of success, right? I think that's fair for people who are trying to, have a business and a sustainable business and everything. That's a formula, and sure. But to get the synopsis of Pokemon wrong, to get it wrong, and then say everything, all these other things are clones of it, and you don't even understand what Pokemon is. You know what I mean? But it was just like, I don't know, that experience. I'll pull that up in a second, but as I'm talking, but like, to me, you're seeing your personal enjoy, and you're like, is it nostalgia? I guess, but not necessarily. It is just like there's something fundamental about it, and the sense of adventure and just what it means, and engaging with it in a good faith way, and not just kind of dismissing it as this kitsy, addicting kids thing or whatever. And very cynical, like with the way they describe the anime Pokemon. Let me read the whole thing. I'm going to read the synopsis of this. Ash Satoshi oversleeps and is late for the distribution of the trainer's manual, giving details of how to capture and train wild pocket monsters, Pokemon, fighting pets much coveted by children. Since the manual sets out which Pokemon are most desirable and how to find them, the other kids have all the best catches, and he is stuck with the only one he can find without help from the manual, an electric mouse called Pikachu. Officially let off school to hunt their Pokemon, they trek around a safe and supportive world, always finding a bed for the night, and a sisterly type to help out with meals and other necessities. It's a child's dream, with the joys of independence but without the tedium. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, in the face of that, in the face of just like, that's what the boomers and the Gen X, all these people who didn't grow up with Pokemon, who don't appreciate it, who just kind of saw the big tidal wave and what the big deal is and everything, and it was everywhere, and they don't get it. That tedium for them, they call it avoiding the tedium and stuff, but they kind of just paint Pokemon as this escapist thing, when I loved your guys' perspective that you shared of just like, this was the first time I dealt with challenging topics like death or other challenge, just like sad moments, and even just like the scene. This isn't a scene you didn't bring up, but like what I think of is the scene of Ash in the ice cave, and he's by himself, and all his Pokemon come out, and they all have to huddle for warmth. That was just something that was, I don't know, it's just really impactful, and that's like that image is just so meaningful, I think, and it's like, you're good for the now, but like as an adult, that's something that I want to carry on or whatever. It's just like, it's the support of your friends, and the friends that you battle with to send they fight or whatever. It's like, you don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like the joke is like, you wouldn't get it. But yeah, it was just really meaningful and nice to see this. But yeah, no, they didn't, to address what they were doing, not to make it about them, I guess, to the encyclopedia, but yeah, they don't really say what the Pokedex is. It's a manual and tells them where all the best ones are, and it doesn't. I think they misunderstood of what the premise was of like the professor giving them the 3 starter Pokemon. I think they're under the impression that the other kids have the best catches because the manual sets out which Pokemon are the most desirable, and they found them first, I guess. You didn't pay attention? Whatever. Anyway, but like it's just great to see that from an adult's perspective too. And now our kids, and now like we're having kids, and you talk about the Pokemon challenge where you set the 3 plushies, the 3 starter Pokemon in front of the baby, and have them go to one of them, and they choose a Pokemon. That's like so cute. And that a cynical adult, like these encyclopedists would probably be like, oh, indoctrination or something. It's like, yeah, sure, okay, you can think it that way. I don't know. Yeah, but like I started to make it about that. It's just something that was on my mind. Yeah, I really like the wheelhouse that you're forming here, where it's very it's not analytical in the same way of like, finding a deeper meaning or something, but it's something that's like you're engaging with the media on a very positive personal level, and you're sharing that not just with your audience but with other creators and other people in the space, and that it's not just you, it's a mutual feeling and stuff. I don't know, it's just lovely. I love it. Anime Visor had a quite lengthy video on the life and anime of Leiji Matsumoto, and I'll spoil myself too, and I just want to give you the full context for me, because this is someone I have the intention of making my own Leiji video, and this is definitely what I want to avoid, and I don't think this is a bad video, to be perfectly clear. I think this is really respectful and engaging with it on a good level, positive, good faith level. Although there's a lot of moments where you either haven't seen the thing that you're talking about, or or it's been a while since you watched it, so you can't really say one way or the other, and so it kind of trails off in that way. But the video is pretty much structured on a chronological trek through his works, and it starts with his manga at first, and then it pretty much goes from anime from there. And I don't know if I haven't looked into his bio fully myself, but I don't know if that's exactly how it goes, of just like manga and then since Space Battleship Yamato, there's some manga and then mostly anime after that. I guess that's the case. I think you know what, that is the case, because I guess you really do cover some of the other material and like some other graphic novel and some manga and stuff like that, here and there. But it was very chronological with some commentary of like enjoying certain things here and there. But I guess in a way that, you know, and engaging on some level with the themes of his work and everything, and addressing the Leijiverse thing. But you know, it was a lot of like it was a listicle. It felt very listically, if that makes sense. If it's an adjective that I can apply to this video, that it's just kind of bloated with that, you know. I think if you really honed in on the works that meant something to you, if that was just 3-9 and 5555, maybe even Harlock, I think that would have been okay. And if you don't have that much experience with Space Battleship Yamato, that's fine. And you can mention it in passing, but like I felt like you gave a pretty even distribution to everything that you talked about here, and it just kind of like an acknowledgement and moving on. Not like in a full blown, like that would have been. You have some commentary and things like that, but it felt mostly predicated in that way. But it didn't feel like it led to any particular message, or it was just sort of a taking time to respect and appreciate his work in a very clean, not like, you know, one narrative or another type of thing. And, you know, I don't mind that. That's perfectly fair. But I don't think it's going to have the kind of lasting kind of impact, or encouraging people to check out his works in the same way as something else I think could have. That could have been more either personal or just, I don't know, in the way that I was thinking of doing it, which I won't fully spoil here. I have a particular take about Leiji, and it's not the most holy, reverent, positive one, I will say. It is a particular take, but I'm saving that. I also have to develop it still, but yeah. Yeah, but I wanted to talk about that because it was, you know, I don't talk about your videos that much. I did this one because I've just been, you know, interested in other people's Leiji videos and what they do. Benkyo. But yeah, just my commentary on that, I guess. But yeah, I do like the video, don't get me wrong. But just, yeah. I guess what that was thinking. The Anime Man. I haven't talked too much about the main channel, but I feel like I do talk about Joey at least once a digest, which is great because I do like that he's, you know, full-time YouTuber, baby. Yeah, this is you know, real hours here, which is great. You know, I think it's, you know, a few of us who have been sparse, and there is a comment that that Gig makes in this video is like, I thought anime YouTube was getting too easy. And, you know, he's right. It's getting, it's too much. It's not enough. I don't know. It's different. It's a different game. It stinks. I don't know. But yeah. But this is an ultimate anime quiz challenge with Anime Man versus Gigik. I was really excited to see this. And to be fair, what is the name of Naruto's daughter? Is a question, not Naruto's son, but and the system of this was 73 questions. They asked 73 questions, but it's actually 55 questions because I was a nerd and went back and looked, because watching the video casually, the thing that sticks out to you is that like half the questions were Naruto questions. Not much of an ultimate anime quiz if half the questions are about one anime. But no, it's because obviously it's because of the sponsor that they're with. They have this kind of like gacha system, and all the prizes were Naruto themed. There's Naruto figures, Naruto coasters, yada yada yada. And the gacha system that they had, when they answer a question correctly or they get a point, instead of just regular points, which they do have, they go over to the table and pull a gacha, and they have like A rank and F rank, and a lot of common items, and the rare A item. I think there was only one A rank. So it added this other layer to the game, little bit of chance as well as skill, even though the skill itself was largely had to do with who pressed the button first. I was thinking about with anime quizzes and stuff that like it would be interesting to create a game or a system that could be replicable, that didn't have to do with buzzing in, that it was purely about the person's knowledge. I think that would be really. I had that idea, and I was gestating it and formulating the idea, but I won't say it here in case I do it. In case I have the idea, I think that would just be really cool. But I'd have to figure it out. I have to physically do it. It might be kind of demanding, the thing that I'm thinking of. But like, it ends up being more about who buzzes in first, for a lot of these questions. Although there is a funny moment where like they start to buzz in before the answer is finished, and that's to Giguk's detriment at one point, because it's like the cincher quest, like the question that he would have won with, but he buzzed in way too early, and there was no way he would have been able to answer it. And then it goes to Joey. They repeat the question, and he doesn't know it. And Giguk definitely would have known it because it was a very easy Naruto question. So so that was, and then he, I hate to spoil the video, but then that costs him the win. But that was just really funny. I really like, obviously their dynamic's fantastic. They've been friends for a long time and have been making content together for a while. There's a certain moment where they kind of share a brain cell and kind of give a little joke at the same time, like a little jinx moment. It's really funny. They were entertaining, but they really carried it. They really carried the thing, because in order to make this fair, Joey is not the one who made the questions, and so he doesn't know the questions, and so both of them don't know the questions, and the questions are really like mediocre. I'm not gonna lie. Like the questions, like a lot of them were who and what, and like the trivia kind of questions, nothing to do with industry or staff or anything. Like maybe that would have been too deep, I guess. And then the sheer, I literally went back and like counted how many Naruto questions there. So, but the weird thing, right? When I said there was 73 questions, but actually 55, they show on the screen question 55 or 73. They have the number on screen, but they skip some, because I wanted to count how many Naruto ones there were and like the order of things. There's no question 11. There's no question 20, 23, 24, 28. It was just weird amounts that just like little pockets. And I don't know if it was because it was a dumb question, or they're trying to trim the video to 30 minutes or so, like just over 30 minutes, so that to make it tight, and they just kind of kept the best reactions, or just kind of like because obviously you're not going to have the best reaction to everything, and so you cut that makes sense. But then like, why did they cut the number question? Like, why did they cut it so there's a transparently missing questions? That was the weird thing to me as an editor, I guess. I think what would have happened is like they had the whole video, and then once they show it, they're like, okay, cut this question, this question, this question, and they just didn't. It would have just been too tedious, I guess, to like shift all the questions down, I guess. I don't know. Not a big deal or anything. Obviously, I didn't even notice the first round, the first casual watch. Because it's not really because there's so many questions. It's like you lose track. It's like whatever. But also like not like Joey call reference to the number of questions there were, which it was. But no, yeah. But then like the variety of questions here. Look, but that's the thing. They asked questions from series that Giguk hadn't seen yet. And I'm pretty sure Joey had seen all the anime that were brought up. Of course, he's the anime man. He has seen a lot. But like, not a lot from someone who is from fucking 2015, maybe. There's a question from Umaru-chan. Umaru-chan? Really? What is this, 2016? What is this, like 2017? You know, it was like weird. And there's some modern ones like Chainsaw Man. But like, let me just tell you the types of like the series there. It was one from Akira, 20 questions from Naruto, 20 out of 55. Angel Beats, Durarara, Psychopaths, Ava, two or three JoJo questions, Fate, like two or three Fate questions, Bebop, SAO, two Chainsaw Man, two in a row. Like some of these were like in a row for some reason. It's like, okay, it was a very weird pattern. It wasn't very reliable in that, like, to follow. Bakemonogatari, one question from One Piece. Okay, at least we got one. It was a good question. It was a good question too, and I was very proud that Giga got it. The question was, what island is Nico Robin from? And it's like, yeah, we know, yeah. Oh, that was cool. Demon Slayer, place further than the universe. Like, 2018 question. Okay, Death Note, Mob Psycho, Madoka Magica, FMA, because like again, like Giga hasn't seen FMA, but they ask an FMA question. Okay, AOT, Attack on Titan, Kaguya-sama, Bungo Stray Dogs. Okay, Fooly Cooly, Fate again, Tokyo Ghoul, No Game No Life, 5 centimeters per second, Code Geass, and Steins Gate. And then the Cincher, the last question was from Howl's Moving Castle. So the very narrow, it's the broadest possible questions, I guess. Like, sure, okay, they're not going to ask a question about Cypher the video. I don't know. I'm not expecting the most obscure things. But that's again, the concept of the quiz and how do you make this better, I think if it was something that you plug the people's MAL in, with anime music quiz, you can enter your MAL and it will only kind of show the OPs or EDs. I think it's just OPs, but I think it's OPs. It might be EDs. Of the ones that you've seen, that group has seen, so you don't have an awkward situation where nobody has seen the show that you're talking about, right? So it sort of end up being So the quiz that I'm thinking of, it ends up being based on your pool of information, because I'm never gonna get an answer from Angel Beats correctly, but I will get a question right from Bebop. Maybe I have a good chance. I have a better chance at that than a show that I haven't seen before. So that was interesting. But I don't know, just those like commentary, just like analyzing the game itself. But then, like I said, it's an entertaining video purely because Joey and Giga have such a good chemistry with each other, and it's fun. It's a fun game. It was just calling the ultimate anime quiz was just like, yeah, okay, that's cute. I don't know. It made me think. The Hazel Fooly Cooly video, kind of taking a page off of oh shoot, what is her name? Oh shoot, I'm an idiot. Well, the video, Jenny Nicholson. There you go. The Jenny Nicholson video of the Vampire Diaries video, I think it's that. It's just the board, and that's that's the video. That's a good title, actually. Wow. But yeah, like she went up and did it, and because we weren't really expecting this. I think when Coffee Cakes. Can you understand why I confused the two? Do you see the correlation? Do you understand? Like, Coffee Cakes put out that Ava 3.0 plus 1.0 video is like the ultimate Fooly Cooly sequel or whatever. Hazel made a comment that like, oh good, I don't have to make a Fooly Cooly video then. But she does anyway, which is fair. I think it's good. And it's in kind of disorienting, meandery kind of fashion for her. She's not making a definitive Fooly Cooly video. Definitely not. I think there's just certain like little things like, oh, because I'm making a Fooly Cooly video, let me order this book and then spend like a fourth of the video just listing off a bunch of fun facts from this book that I picked up. And it's not any direct translations because she's not a translator, but she can read it. all right. You know, and I don't think any of the tidbits were so huge that it was like, oh, you're spreading some misinformation or something. I don't think it's that serious. I think it's fine. I think she's doing it in good enough faith. One thing that did stick out to me was the aspect ratio sloppiness. It was just kind of like, and this is just a nitpick for me as someone who making videos and stuff. A lot of my Naruto footage was not quite 16:9. It had little bars at the top and bottom. And so I would have to constantly like expand the video a little bit just to fill out the whole screen. Obviously, I didn't go so far with messing with the ratio with 4:3 versus 16:9, and that's fine. For me, I think that's fine that Hazel didn't do that either. I'm not looking for a completely consistent ratio. But like even her Philly Cooley footage that she used had the lines in the top and bottom. I'm like, I don't think it's a nitpick, I know. And it's like the viewers obviously doesn't care, and it doesn't affect the success of the video or anything like that. And there's a lot of comments of like, this is the footage I had on hand, and I didn't want to go download the whole fucking thing. The struggle is real. I know what you mean. And I guess that being transparent of that is refreshing in a way. But on the other hand, it's sort of like, you could have just either done that or just don't mention it, and I wouldn't have thought of that. But now that you put it in my head, I'm just like, okay. You know, there's that overly casual, I guess. And it reflects, I think, the casualness of this video, which the rest of it just feels, the bulk of it feels like casual rambling. The sticking at the end, the way it sticks is very cute and abrupt and like really awesome. I loved that. But like it felt like really thoughtful writing, like really trying to think of something and like kind of a little metaphor. I didn't quote it, but that really, I love that part at the end, and it didn't feel that way the rest of it. And she makes a lot of concessions, I guess maybe is the word, of the length. You didn't expect it to be this long. Oopsie, and you know it's a little lackadaisical. And I guess it's not like we were going to Hazel necessarily for the sharpest, research intense, you know, nothing like that. And you know, because again, I think it's just her aura, and it genuinely feels like she's in the room, and she's rambling, and you don't want to interrupt her. It's not that you don't want to interrupt her; you can't interrupt her because it's a video, right? So it's sort of just like her thoughts. It feels very stream of consciousness almost, and like referencing different things and pulling stuff. But there is more like based on the thoughts that she puts in here. The other thing about it that makes me feel like it's not the sharpest work from her is all of the comments. She's done this plenty of times, and I've definitely mentioned it in Digest before, but it was probably every 5 seconds in this video. It got a lot at one point. It felt like I had to have my hand over the space bar for when it showed up, because I knew it would just show up for like a couple of frames. There were several comments that she left in there as little Easter eggs that I would go frame by frame looking at. Maybe that shows how much I'm invested in her narrative and care about what she has to say as a creator. And I think that's a good thing for, you know, if that counts for something. I care enough to do that. And I guess it's part of the experience, but it bothers me in a way. It's like, make a better video then. Write a better script. If it's like, there's one moment where it was a future recording and she lampshades that and makes mention of it. It's like, can you tell that that's a future recording? And it's like, kind of. It didn't really stick out to me like that. But now that you brought it up, until you brought it up, right? And it's like it's sort of a confidence of letting your message hit. And if you don't have that confidence, I feel like you just have to rewrite it. And like, but you have to put the video out. I think it's the needs to come out within a certain period of time, or Algo forgets you, or Algo goes get fucked. Which I feel like is definitely happening with me. I definitely think Algo does not trust me for shit, and it's not getting me any attention or any traction at all. I am really struggling past couple of months. It's hard right now. But it's the reception and the fact that I'm gaining patrons with videos that I make. Thank you for people who are supporting me on Patreon. Really means a lot. It just shows that the videos are actually reaching people and affecting people in a way. And it doesn't matter if it's 600,000 people or if it's 6,000 people or less. You know what I mean? That's still a fair amount of people. And there's other creators, people that I've talked about in this digest, that are not experiencing the same level of growth and appreciation that I am, that I'm fortunate to have. But of course, it's never enough. Of course, it's not. Ugh. I have to be jealous of other people. It sucks. I hate YouTube. I hate it. I hate the game. I don't hate making videos. I love making videos. I wouldn't be doing it otherwise. But I don't know why I'm drinking on stream. Sorry. Stream? I'm not streaming. See, this is how often I've been streaming. It's like that's the mentality I'm in right now. Maybe that's why I've been able to go as long as I have. I was worried this was going to be another 40-minute digest, and thankfully I don't think it is. Don't think. I can see that it isn't. Sheesh. I'm sorry. Where was I? Hazel. Yeah, there's just a lot of comments. And look, I did those comments a lot too in some previous videos and stuff. And I've regretted it. And it's like, come on, just don't even put it in there. Just be confident with what you said, you know? But there was, in those comments, several parts that I did appreciate, that I really like. My favorite is definitely this part where she makes this kind of negative comment of like, certain media doesn't do it for me, or she's like she's critical of something, and she could have put something there to be like, this is an example of a show I don't like. I don't remember the precise parameters of what that was, but she puts in text instead of a footage of something. She says, not going to put anything here, lol. Whatever I dislike isn't really relevant. That's right. That's correct. You know, oh God, it's so good. That's totally right. You don't have to make digs at these other shows in support of your argument. You can make this like general vibe of like, sometimes that happens in anime where this thing happens that I don't like it. But you don't have to give an example in that instance for me, because it just creates you an additional problem. When you show that, for the viewers who do care about that show or don't think that's a problem, it's like the thing with replay value that I said earlier, where he's like, this still is a huge miss. Did he have to say that? Because now that he said it, I at least the few viewers that care, I'm like, what do you mean by that? This actually happened in my Owning My video, actually, where I made a comment, I interrupted the music, and it was just like, it is not, and then several people, or at least it was one, like a couple comments, and then they were liked a lot, of like, care to elaborate on that? And I did not want to elaborate on that, actually, because that wasn't because like, it isn't really relevant. That's the idea. But, you know, and I had my reasons for bringing it up that way, in the way that I did. Whatever. It's all right. I'll take the L. There's pros and cons to these choices. They're not always perfect. But I really liked that decision a lot. And the thing is, you know, I still valued the comments ultimately, because I was pausing it every time to read all of them. There were so many paragraphs worth of it. It ended up being a longer video than it looks. You know, even though you were like, oh, I wanted this to be like 10 minutes. You know, when you put comments like this, it makes it longer because the viewer pauses if they care enough, you know, then they'll pause, you know, that's just what happens. Anyway, but like certain comments, like I did appreciate. The other one that she put that I liked was generally discarding these arguments about Fooly Cooly for people that it doesn't resonate with them as strongly. It doesn't become a favorite of theirs. And the defenses are always like, oh, you just had to be there or at that age to appreciate it. Or this idea that you have to watch it twice to get it. And she makes it kind of you know, addressing each of these in her own ways. But she's pretty much like makes it explicit in one of the text things. And a lot of the time in these texts, like very often, she would end them with, I don't know, I hope you get what I mean. You know, just commentary on the video itself. Don't get me wrong, I like that stuff too. And I have those thoughts all the time when I'm making my videos. And I have those discussions, of course, with people when I share my videos for feedback. And then we have a little dialogue and stuff. And there's so much more I could say, like, especially the Onimai video, with it being so curt. I had so much more to say. And the reason I didn't say much was because I didn't want to create further. I wanted to just have a very focused message, not be all rambly and stuff. But I'm okay with this being rambly because it's like not as serious. I don't know. But that like analysis before you publish the video, you know, but it's baked in the video itself, being like, I'm not really secure on the thing. And you know, to be fair, I also like what she said about towards the beginning, where it's like, you know, I might not get this right. I might not like fully nail what this means to me, or why I'm making this, or like what I'm trying to say. I'm probably not going to make it. I'm probably not going to achieve that, but hopefully you get something out of it. I'm going to try. And the trying is do or do not. There's no try. Sure. But like, I think it's okay to be not apprehensive, but not fully secure in your video. I certainly wasn't with the video I just put out. Gosh, there are people I wasn't sure if I should post it. But you know, and it's not the most. It's like, but people really appreciated it. There were people that like personally DM'd me on Discord to say how much they appreciated it, and I genuinely have almost never gotten that for other videos. So I feel like that means I did something right. Something. And probably something wrong for other people. So, yeah, breaking eggs, I guess. But, you know, I get having, like, the apprehension of certain things. And I like that kind of resonated in the message itself, I guess. Yeah. But, like, I can't take too much out of it in terms of the physical. I guess it doesn't help that I wasn't a huge Fooly Cooly fan. And I guess that's probably why I appreciated that she was able to, like, put aside these common arguments of, oh, you just had to be there and oh, you have to watch it twice, and really tried to engage of what's the value in this show. And I think she does a pretty good job. Although, again, it wasn't stuff that really, like, stuck with me in the same way. It doesn't feel like it's the crux of it, and that's okay. I think she set the right expectations there. And another point, one constructive thing from the video that I did really like, in terms of the substantive points she was making, the connection to Sadamoto's Eva designs, just departing them for, like, how do you make them different from Evangelion in Fooly Cooly? And the answer was to make them more like Moyoko Anno's designs, and the different features and stuff, the eyes, the lips, and stuff like, and the nostrils. Those are such clever observations. I love that. And on that point with Moyoko Anno's designs, exposing your audience to an author like Okazaki. I had seen some work of theirs, but I wasn't really familiar with the name or the names of the works and stuff. That was awesome. You know, and I like that you were able to put that in a Fooly Cooly video that's actually going to do decently. And then, but like, you don't have to make the video itself of just about Okazaki. Although I do think at this point, Hazel, not that you're listening, I don't think you've watched Digest, but at this point, she has such a loyal, dedicated audience. She could make almost anything, and it would do well. At least well enough to support her financially. Not to mention, like, especially because she just has tons and tons of patrons. I don't know if it's enough patrons for her living situation or anything, and supporting her and her wife. I'm sure her wife is also has a job and does things. Familiar a little bit with what she does, but I've only seen a couple of patron Q&As. I'm not like super impersonal. Hopefully it's enough to sustain you. But I do think that, like, you have a big platform now that, and a lot of, you know, not too many, maybe some deep fans deep enough to know who Okazaki is, but like probably a lot of, like, with how big your audience is, probably a lot who don't. So I think it's a great opportunity to explore that and to expose that, just to deepen their appreciation and deepen their horizons, I think, and not just this, because Fooly Cooly is very popular, at least in the West. I like that you also talked about this and didn't really get to a clear answer about it either. I don't know. I think it's feels mature, even though like I do think ultimately the video has a lot of like meandery, kind of like rushed out types of things. Lots of, I feel like that's indicative of the captions, that you're not just spending more time polishing and re-recording the script. You know, I would rather you do that than having all these side comments. The aspect ratio, just kind of throwing the footage in, as long as even the small, I don't know, just the way that the video looks. I'm not looking for super polished, you know, After Effects, something like that, but just something clean that like it doesn't, it's just distracting for me personally, and things like that. But yeah, and just the general rant, like the aimlessness, and again this like self commentary on the video process of like, I wanted this to be shorter and things like that. And that, not that I'm one to talk, of course. I've made that type of video and comment in my stuff before, so yeah, I get it. But yeah, I did enjoy the video. I liked it. Yeah. Lastly, Redbard, anime sites from yesteryear from Anime Boston. So this is so funny. I had no idea. This is a recording of a panel that Redbard and Sam Ferreira did. Samantha Ferreira did in the same room on the same hour, just a different day as me. I had the same panel Constitution A. I looked at the schedule. I was like, that room looks familiar. And I looked at the at the schedule, and yeah, they had the same room as me, but just Friday at 9 a.m. and I was Saturday at 9 a.m. So this is just really interesting that that it is just the what could have been, because people have asked if I recorded it or will I record the panel and stuff, and I didn't. And this was kind of why, a little bit, because it just unfortunately it's rough. I think it's a very raw kind of recording. For one, it's tough because the visual's not that pleasant. It's a you know, from the back of the room, so you get some audience heads, but like they're very dark on the stage, and they both are wearing masks. That's fine, that's their choice, but it's like you're presenting something and it's like, okay, they didn't really require masks at AB, but okay. Again, that's your choice, but it's like you're the presenter. Anyway, I don't want to discourage it, but as a result, that led to a lot of like, I had to put on, thankfully you had English captions for this video. But I can only imagine being at that panel live. You know, you wouldn't have had captions, and you wouldn't be able to rewind, right? But also, you know, PowerPoint, and you were able to show some stuff like physically, you know, it would cut to the video on screen and stuff like that. Little technical hiccups here and there, and generally it's off script. You know, it's presentation-ish, and so I don't think it comes off as well in a video as it would live. I think it's a little unflattering. And not to, you know, I don't want to be super down on this particular thing. I'm saying that as someone who could have made that choice as well, and I'm like, okay, that probably would have looked like for me. And for me, I just couldn't have put this on YouTube because my panel was all clip based. It was centered around showing 2 to 4 minute full clips of these anime, which wouldn't have worked on YouTube. It just wouldn't have. It would have just gotten struck down. Literally, also, there was a clip that from this panel that they had to remove because, and they make little commentaries like, yeah, YouTube took it down, they copyright striked it, yay. I hope he didn't get an actual copyright strike. Jesus Christ. You mean like Content ID and it blocked the video? Like, I hope that's what it means, not an actual strike. Sheesh. Maybe you're used to the word strike. I don't know. But anyway, this panel was about old anime websites from the oldest. The first one was like 1987, and they kind of went through a couple of them, and the latest one that they talked about at the end was from 2003, Gaia Online. And I didn't make the full list of everything that they talked about, but yeah, the focus of it was really just of what tons of sites where anime fans were, where they were at the time, and where they discussed stuff. Like it's like putting an anime sites from yesterday and putting Twitter on there, or Reddit, because they were talking about DeviantArt, LiveJournal, fanfiction.net, and it's like, yeah, there was a presence. But I think the more substantive features that you mention are the GeoCities websites, and that's where it's the hub, and that's where all people made all these websites and stuff. And about Anime News Network, and the one that was made 4 months before Anime on DVD, and the cosplay one. And I like that you showed pictures of Diana on there. She's great on Twitter. But this old cosplay site, this AMV website that you have internet archived and everything. That was awesome. That stuff was great. And I guess if I would give feedback on the panel itself, the two things was just a couple of things. For one thing, you're stumbling a lot. There's a lot of ums and stuff, and that's fine. You're in person. You're on screen. I have a lot of ums in this digest, sure. But how many I didn't count, but it started to get more present as the panel went on, of it's too early. I haven't had my caffeine. I had 2 hours of sleep or something like that. Come on. It's like, yeah, so was the whatever. And I'm not saying don't make those mistakes. I'm just saying don't make that the reason and then keep bringing that up. But look, I will say, as someone who did a panel the next day in the same room, same hour, I would resort to the same tics if I was talking off the cuff. I would resort to the same wording and everything, and I would just be but that's just being a performer. That's just, if you're not scripted, if you're not performing a performance that you've rehearsed, right? That includes all of those unevenness and nuance. If it's off the cuff, that you have to be very skilled and talented in that field of improv to not be in that mindset. So I understand it was probably just a mental loop, but in the recording, it's you notice that it's you said it 15 times, both of you. both Samantha and Red Bart said that a lot. It was okay, yep, we know, yep. It was just a lot. It was just not the best look for me. I get with panels, this is probably just a general critique of panels for the two things about the PowerPoint presentations. Most of the time, this is just a thing that I've noticed in panels. I'm not a connoisseur. I've not gone to tons of conventions. I think I've gone to 5 total. I've literally gone to Anime Boston three times, maybe 4. I think it's 3. I think it was just 3 times, and Otakon once. So I actually have only been to 4 total. Noob, you don't know what you're talking about. Or, as a video creator, as someone who makes making actual videos, I think you put a lot of text on a projector, and the person talking and everything, they're not gonna. There's a disconnect. You're reading and you're listening to something, and it's not correlated. And also, the text can be very small on screen, especially in this particular video, where the text is not especially big, even when you have the big thing. But that the PowerPoint screen does come on. You include it in the video itself, and then transition out of that. But you don't stay on that on that screen. I think it would have been better if you stayed on that screen, all things considered, because there's not much to look at with the screen itself, with the in-person environment itself. You know what I mean? And so then it just was. So I would have preferred that the visuals, if the PowerPoint had more of the substance of the material, of the web pages, whatever is archived. There's a lot of the stuff has not been archived, and I understand that. There's only so much you can show. But it's just finding more visual material to do that, and keeping that visually engaging the whole time. And that's just panels in general. I don't know, it's a PowerPoint, and everything like that, but it's something to think about, I guess. The other thing is just like taking advantage of the in-person environment. To me, like this is just, again, if someone who just presented a panel for the first time and has been making videos for years before that, I think it's interesting how and it's weird that Redbird hasn't necessarily taken advantage of this. It just felt like another convention panel. Maybe that's like that feels like two different things, but like I don't understand how you don't use the video aspect, and the fact that you don't take advantage of how panels are different from videos, where it's live and it's in person. There's people in front of you that you can ask, that you can like give like hear what they think, or have them engage with it personally. I know that there's some people who just kind of want a spectator thing. They don't want to participate, and sure, that's fine. But just like there's a dynamic to that. I think there's something to take. There's an opportunity there, and the most that you do to interact with the audience. And again, I don't think this is like a. It's not a requirement for convention panels. Most panels don't do this. And that's why I'm saying that it's a shame that I think this is just indicative of many panels in general, anime convention panels. They don't take advantage of the person that's in front of them, that there's an actual participation thing. The only ones that do are like games and like other, some stuff with Q&A. There's some Q&A, I guess, and that's fine. That's not bad. But like in the panel itself, it's challenging. I think I don't know, it's really interesting. I don't know specifically what you could have done with this topic that could have involved the audience participation. Maybe there's someone who has experience with GeoCities, or made one, or made a fan fiction or something. And what was their experience with these things? And that creates something dynamic, and something that like even you're taking something out of it, the presenter, and that makes it not stale for you, even. I don't know. It just makes it exciting to present it every time. I don't know. It's just something to think about. But for this one was, you had gotten these cards from Gaia Online, I guess some like expired cards or something, and they were just first come, first serve, and some people came forward and grabbed some. Cool. Like, yeah, okay. I don't know. Gimme's like the little trinkets and stuff are okay. And Redbird had like business cards for her channel. I think that's a neat idea, actually. I guess for me, business cards don't always work. I don't know. There's my personal thing with business. Like, how do I know I'm not everybody, but I just, maybe it's just a bad habit, but like I think about how I use, like if I was to offer a business card, do I use business cards? Do I, like, if someone gave me a business card, would I really use it? Not to discourage the business card thing. I like it, but it was just sort of like the most audience participation in this was the physical handout, in that way. I also like the physical samples of like you actually brought the magazine, but people can't like touch them because they're fragile and stuff. I think if you had, I don't know, brought something, or like an overhead camera, or asked the convention panel if they have something like that, or to accommodate on like the Thursday before or something, and you can kind of go through that magazine even just a little bit for a few minutes. I think that would have been more substantive than like going through the history of DeviantArt or fanfiction.net, or it's like, yeah, okay. And also this panel wasn't an hour. Not my panel wasn't either. It was 52 minutes or so. So I'm not the one to talk too much, but it made me think about that, where I was like, oh yeah, because I don't want to go over. But the convention actually, at least Anime Boston, it actually planned for you to go over, because they literally like start the next panel after you in like 15 minutes, so it was just like, oh, okay. Sorry, hold on, someone was calling me. But yeah, in like 50, I forget where I was going with that, but yeah, not to criticize it, but it was like filling it out with other things and stuff like that. But I don't know. Sorry if I was so effing critical about this one. I guess again, it's coming from that experience of me just coming off of making one, and happened to be in the same room and time, like 9 a.m. But I was the Saturday instead. I thought mine went incredibly well, and I think yours went pretty well, all things considered, as well. But just made me think. Just made me think. Yeah. All right, that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you very much for listening, because you probably just listened to me. I'll have it all in the background. You know what it is. Oh, it's fine. No, it's understandable, frankly. Yeah, it's a very long one, I guess, but I didn't have too many. Yeah, I don't know. Very rambly, but I guess that's better than short and substanceless. Guess. Yeah, I'll end it now. You guys are great. You have a great half of the month. Yo, peace.